You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I gotta tell you something I could do. I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. No, you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had my ways. Around your mind tricks and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. No, you didn't win this, it's a part of the game. In the beginning, I just didn't know that you're an enemy I held too close. Now
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Hey, y'all. Happy Friday, Junior. I am Nicole D. Vick, Dr. Nicole D. Vick of Nicole D. Vick Live. This week's episode is going to be very different from episodes in the past. You know, I'm the public health girl. I talk to y'all about social justice issues in the Black community, specifically here in Los Angeles and South Los Angeles. If I dig even deeper, right? We're talking about South LA. But this episode is a little different. I have shared with y'all in the past my journey with this ankle. I am proud to say that I am now walking in the house without the cane. I can put the cane to the side and I can walk around, a little bit wobbly, a little bit of a little limp, but I can get around. But y'all know the whole journey, the journey of the broken ankle and the 3 months of waiting. Somebody help. Hey, hello. But what I want to talk to y'all about tonight is a very good, close friend of mine who unfortunately is no longer with us, who played a huge part in my healing journey. And so I have to share my experience with him and honor him in his passing. I want to process the grief. Y'all know I'm a processor. Okay, as Virgos, this is Virgo season, by the way. We tend to want to kind of process and reflect on some things. And when this happened and he passed, I'm like, what is going on? So I want to process the grief. I want to honor him. And I really want to think about what his friendship taught me about care, about trust, about connection, about love. Because this is a relationship that I don't think I've ever experienced before. And that's something else that came up in my conversations with other friends as I was processing. I'm like, hold on. Another layer has emerged here in regards to this. So if I cry, my bad. I've already told the producer, baby, if it get too bad, go to commercial. He already know what's up. And kudos to him because he also understands sort of the grief and mourning. And so I appreciate him because he reached out like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. So shout out to him as well this evening. So we're going to process it. We're going to push through and we're going to make this happen. So I got to start at the very, very, very beginning. And I think this is another part of this interesting relationship. It was like fast. It was short. It was way too short. So I am a social media lover. Y'all know I be on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, not so much anymore, but I was all up in all of that, right? So I was in on LinkedIn, being nosy, talking to people, whatever, right? I get a message from John Ford. His full name is John Joseph Vincent Ford. And I don't even remember what the conversation was around, but he was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you were in LA too. I'm in LA. We should connect." He left his phone number, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm in LA as well. Not near where you are, because you way over there. I don't know. I'm in South LA." But we start talking. And I have to really give kudos to LinkedIn. People have issues with LinkedIn, but I'm gonna shout out LinkedIn because I have another friend that I met on LinkedIn, Felicia. We're friends. We talk all the time now. She doesn't even live in LA. She's in a whole nother state, but we've met in person. So LinkedIn has actually been a really cool space to connect with people. And so we started chit chatting. I'm sure we moved off of LinkedIn DMs to like phone and start texting. We eventually decided to meet up in person. The funny side story to that is I have a friend who was like, "Who is this guy?" And she was being the protective friend. "Who is this? What is he about? What does he want from you?" And I'm like, "Girl, I don't think it's like that. Whatever you thinking, I don't think that's what it is." And so he and I agreed to meet for lunch at Cheesecake Factory. And it's funny because I feel like every time we go somewhere, it's something about some Cheesecake Factory. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, we met up at Cheesecake Factory. This was the end of May 2025. I had already graduated from my doctoral program at USC. And so we met up. I think we were in Glendale. I don't know. Like I said, he lives over there. And I'm like, why are we over here? So I think we was in Glendale and parked and everything. And he was waiting for me and he had a gift. This man had bought me the very first luxury item that I ever owned. Probably will never own anything else. A very, very nice Saint Laurent little wallet thing. And we went and sat, and he said, "I just wanted to meet you and talk with you. I'm inspired by your journey through school, your educational journey." He said, "You feel safe. Your vibe is good. And I just felt like I wanted to kind of get to know you and be friends." And I'm like, that is so cool. And that just really kicked off the friendship. Now, here's where. So I said it was like the end of May that we went to lunch. Why about 2 weeks later, ankle, boom. And y'all know that whole story. We're not going to go through that whole story about this ankle. So I broke my ankle. And my brother took me to the ER that first day. My good friend Josie took me to my doctor's appointment that following week, but then she had to leave. I think she left the country for something. And I had doctor's appointments and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get around. I don't even remember if I asked or if he offered. I don't even know. But all I know is for the majority of my medical appointments, he was taking me to the doctor. He was invested in my care. And it was just really, really a crazy moment. He consistently showed up. Like he was checking on my healing. He was asking the doctors questions, talking to the physicians like, "Hey, are you going to send her x-rays to the other doctor since you can't fix her ankle? Are you going to send them over there?" And he's asking questions. And we get to the second doctor and he's like, "Why don't you have her x-rays?" Like he literally became the health advocate and really took over all of the sort of helping me negotiate and navigate. He was frustrated with me because I was frustrated. And then just think about it. I'm in the car with him driving. We talking, we're learning about each other. I'm hearing about Carlos, his partner, who he loves. I'm hearing about work. We're talking about all kinds of things. And it just was really a meaningful space and actually even kind of unusual a little bit because it's like, well, he could have been like, "Dang, that's crazy. Your ankle broke. Oh my goodness." And that could have just been the end of it. He was like, "When is your appointment? Okay, tell me again what time we got to be there. All right, I'm on my way." He was helping me get down the stairs because remember, I couldn't use this side of my body. I'm crawling down the stairs, hopping, I'm doing all this stuff. He's putting wheelchairs in the back of all of that he's talking about. And so all of the things that he was doing. And one of the really interesting things that came to me after he passed is that, a lot of times you hear that men and women cannot have platonic relationships. They can't be friends because one of them, most often the guy is the one that's going to be trying to holler and he's just secretly waiting in the wings in the background, waiting for the opportunity. And that's not always the case. Again, after he passed, and I'm really thinking about the totality of our relationship, it made me realize that I had not experienced that level of care and consideration from a male friend, a male partner, a male lover ever. And I'm sorry if you are a former boyfriend of Nicole and you're watching it. I am so sorry, but that is true. The level of care and consideration that this man showed to me have never experienced before. And as I think about it and sort of, well, how come he kind of jumped into my life the way he did? I think it really depends on how you see the world. If you believe that there are no coincidences, then you would know that him being there was not an accident. He was a catalyst. His presence shifted something inside of me, and that absence now makes me think about what that meant. I feel like John may have been a messenger of sorts. He came to show me the depth of care that's possible in human connection. And I will even say that, hey, Nicole, he reminded me that I deserved it, that this was not an abnormal thing, that this was not an anomaly. Like, girl, you deserve that. You deserve somebody to call you and say, hey, Sugar Plum, you good. Hey, baby girl, you all right. Did you make your appointment? Did you call the insurance company? Like, that's not something that should be seen as abnormal or a novelty. Like, girl, this is the baseline of something that you should expect. And so for me, one of the things I think he has done for me, he has expanded my expectations of friendship and support in both ways, like what I should expect in a friend. And I think now I feel like I hope to be a better friend by having had his friendship, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think it was just like the difference between people who say they'll be there and listen. I know people mean well when they say that because sometimes we don't know what to say. I know I've said it, girl, just let me know what you need, because we feel like that's what we're supposed to say. And we hope that maybe they'll call you when they need you. But that's the difference between that and like, no. What time is your appointment? Let me put it in my calendar. I'll be there. I'm coming. Right. Or like I said, arguing with the doctor, like, why don't you have her x-rays? Like, this don't make no sense. You're telling her now her injury's too old and you don't want to treat it. So what's she supposed to do now? Like, literally going at, back and forth with this physician. And I'm sitting there, having my own feelings about my own ankle, but he's like, nah, like, what's good? And I'm like, wait, we can't go to jail. But I just feel like that was the kind of spirit that he had. And I forgot one more thing before we go to commercial. I forgot to talk about my initial impressions of John. So what stood out to me is he was so talkative. But again, he is a Virgo. His birthday was yesterday. He is a Virgo just like me. So literally, I have said this before, this was like the same person in two different bodies. Like, okay, you talking, I'm going to talk too. And I think that's why we also connected so closely. I feel like he was very sweet and thoughtful. That luxury wallet, he could have got me a Starbucks gift card, but he came in and it was in the pretty little box and the bag. And I was like, wow, that was so sweet. His desire to connect and make friends. I think that's something that's, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a Virgo thing, but I kind of feel like that is. And again, this whole idea of him telling me that I felt safe to him really was significant. I remember telling one of my friends that that's what he said. And I said, that means a lot to me, for someone to say, you feel safe. I feel like I can talk to you. And literally from that point on, it was like we was locked in. from the beginning of our friendship to the very, very end. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the very, very end, towards the end of the episode, what sort of connection that I'm glad that we made, not knowing that it was the end. And I'll talk through that. But before we go on commercial, I have a T-shirt that says Ford. I bought some charms for my bracelet with his initials on it. So I'm just finding ways to process my grief through this time. But let's go to commercial, and then when we come back, I'll talk a little bit more about the caregiver dynamic, our friendship, and how I'm dealing with his loss. Like, I think I'm at this space now where I'm more reflective as opposed to sad. I still cry, but I'm a little bit more like, oh, that's my friend, and I'm so glad I met him. I'm there now. But we'll talk through that after commercial. So let's go to break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
What's going on, y'all? It's Kwame Speaks from Kwame Speaks Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
And we're back. I'm here this evening talking about my friend, John Ford, remembering and honoring him. I had a chance to look through some of the comments while we were on break. I see that Carlos is here. Carlos is John's partner. They've been together. I don't even know how long. I don't even think I ever asked, but they were together. And I got to meet him through John. And of course, the person that I am, I love John. Guess what? I love Carlos too. Shoot, Carlos is cousin now. Cousin Carlos is part of the family. He don't know that yet, but there you go. And so we have been checking in with each other, and sort of working through this, making sure each other is okay, and whatnot. And I saw my friend Sonia had jumped in and left a comment as well. So grateful for the support. And it's so funny. I was going to talk about this later, but might as well talk about it now. So it got to the point where everybody that I know knew who John was. John this, John that, my daughter, my brother, my friends, everybody knew who John was, but they never saw John. So John became like Santa Claus. Like John was around, and I know they know I didn't make this man up, right? He was there, but they never saw him. And I would try to think of ways to kind of connect, one of my friends with him. Oh, let's meet for lunch. It never really worked out, right? And so it's like, Lord, so now he for real is like Santa Claus now, like an angel. Like, yeah, he was here, but now he's gone. It is so crazy. But I talked about him so much. Because he played such a huge role during a time when Nicole was vulnerable. Child over here with one good leg and one ankle that was just toe up. And so, the caregiver dynamic really kind of came into play. He wasn't just helping me, he was invested in my well-being. He was not like, oh, okay, I'll just drop you off, right? Like he wasn't the Uber driver. He was like, okay, so what did the doctor say? What's going on? And that, I think, level of investment created that intimacy between us as far as being really close friends. He wasn't the errand runner. He cared about what happened. He cared about the outcome. He talked to me about him. He had a broken leg once, and he's like, I remember how that felt. That was crazy, and he was like, you can't stay in that walker. You got to get out of that wheelchair. Like, he really wanted me to do better and to be better. I remember him, like I said, arguing with the various doctors. There were 3 before I got to my actual surgeon that actually helped me. I remember after I had surgery, my orthopedic surgeon said, Nicole, you have to get into the pool. That's going to be your best option to help begin to rehabilitate you. So you got to go to the pool and start walking in the water. I want you to do that. And I'm like, well, who finna take me to the pool? Who gonna help me get in the pool? What we doing? Who took me to the pool for the first time? John. In November of last year, we went to Celeste King III pool right down here in South LA by Dorsey High School. He got in the water with me. And I tell you, that felt so weird walking on this foot. It was like, wait a minute, I'm like, oh, and he's in front of me, facing me, holding my hands as I'm walking back and forth in the pool. So it's like, again, invested. If you're not doing that, if you're not invested. I remember him arguing with my surgeon about when I start physical therapy. My surgeon said, Nicole, I want to see you during the holiday season, and then you'll start physical therapy in 2025. John literally said, and I'm going to push back against that. She's been off her feet for 6 months. She needs to start therapy sooner. And I'm sitting between them, and I'm like, and the doctor said, you're right. Okay. And it was done. I hadn't even thought to say anything about that. I hadn't thought to push back. I'm like, okay, I'm just happy that we're making progress. He was like, no, I'm pushing back on that. And I'm like, dang. And then when he would take me to physical therapy, one time I'm like, oh, Lord John, you asking this lady 5,000 questions, and she's trying to work with me on my foot. And so, but it was just so, like I said, that investment was obvious and evident from the very beginning. And so I just really am so appreciative, because honestly, my daughter was out of state. She can't take me anywhere. My brother works a really kind of, he's always working. And I think at that time he was doing like double, triple shifts. He was working a lot. He couldn't do it. And so it was almost like he just came in at the right time and was able to provide that support. Side story really quickly. I had to tell the physical therapist, I went to physical therapy on Tuesday, and I had to tell her that he passed. And she was like, oh my God, she knew who he was. So she was like, wait, no. And we were talking about it. And she said, but Nicole, he's the reason why all of this has happened. And I'm like, exactly. And it bothered me so bad that he could not see the progress, me walking in the house without a cane, like that's unheard of. But she was like, he's so proud of you. And I was like, oh, and I'm crying. And I had to give the physical therapist a hug. And she's like, oh my God. And I appreciate her holding space for me in that time, because I think she saw and understood sort of that level of care. I think that was just his way. And I'm sure Carlos could probably speak to this better than even I can, that I think that just was the kind of man that he was, where he was like, I mean, if I care about you, I'm finna show up for you. And that's just what he did. And that really helped me, because again, if you know me, I do everything by myself. Like Nicole is like independent. Ooh, I don't need you. Da 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 da. But in this instance, I literally have to get help, because I literally can't do the thing. And so it helped me to accept, right, that support and that care from him. So it's crazy. Like, he literally became family. Like, I was like, I have 2 brothers. I have well, both of them are young, so I have 2 younger brothers, right? And it was just really, really crazy. And as I looked at this whole totality of this relationship, I started to be worried, right? Because now he's gone. I'm like, how can I pay him back? And I had to think, and people were telling me, no, it was mutual. He gave in action, you gave in presence, you gave companionship, you gave gratitude. Y'all had fun. They had a slutty vegan pop up. He drove the slutty vegan, and y'all was eating and laughing in the car, driving down the street. Like, there was very much a mutual. I took him to Simply Wholesome. I'm like, bruh, come to South LA. Like, I don't know why you over there. Come over here, and we finna eat some, Jamaican patties. We finna, I'm gonna take you around, and whatnot. So initially I was like, I will never be able to repay him because he's not here. But again, I'm like, no, this was a mutual. I didn't use him. This was, I think, his way of giving. And I was able to also just sort of interact and engage with him. Like I said, he really felt like family at that point. So now we got to talk about the loss, right? The worst thing about it was the suddenness. Now, I will not talk about what happened because I don't think that's important right now. And that's not my story to tell, right? So it was sudden. I didn't know where he was initially. I just noticed that I was like, well, wait a minute. I was supposed to see him and he didn't respond. And I'm like, what's going on? And I remember talking to Andrea. I'm like, Andrea, I don't know. I haven't heard back from John. I sent him a video of me walking. He didn't say nothing. And I was like, that's weird because he always, says something. And she was like, Mom, call him. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait a couple of days. And then some other stuff happened and I talked to her again. And she said, Mama, if you don't call. So I called and found out he was in the hospital. So I'll say that much. And I'm like, what? And I'll stop here and shout out again, Carlos, because Carlos was the one that answered the phone. It was like, he's in the hospital. And I'm like, what? And we were able to coordinate and I was able to get up there and see what was going on and spend some time over the course of some weeks. And it was so crazy because after he passed, which was about 2 weeks ago now, I had to ask Chat GPT, y'all. I literally picked up my phone and clicked the chat and I was like, listen, I don't understand what's going on. I think I have the photo of it, producer, if you want to put it up. I was like, I don't understand. Listen, I met this man in 2024. He's not here and I don't understand. And I need you to help me analyze the relationship and the dynamic and why is he not here? That's, I think, the last thing I said into Chat GPT. And Chat GPT actually did a really good job of helping me process what the heck was going on. One of the things that popped up for me is I had never experienced grief like this before. The last person in my family to die was my grandfather, Grandpa Neil. And even Carlos and I talked about this. When grandma or grandpa dies, it's sad, but you also know that grandma and grandpa are like 85, 95 years old and they had a long life. And, so you kind of, to some degree, know that at some point they're going to pass on. But John is like 42, 43 years old. So it was like, what? And it also, I think it feels different when the death is expected versus unexpected. Last time I saw John, I was convinced he was going to be okay. And I was like, yay, this is good. This is good. It feels sharper. The grief feels sharper when the bond was still new. So a year and a half is nothing when you think about life and time. And there was all these things that we were talking about doing, promises and traveling, and the grief is not just losing him, but also the future of the friendship, right? That just won't happen. There were plans to visit Andrea. We were going to go in April, but that was always a plan. Oh, we're going to go to Arizona. I told him, next time you go home to Memphis, I want to go with you. My ancestors are from Memphis or from Tennessee. I want to see. I've never been. He wanted to be my wingman. He was like, I need you to get a man. And I'm gonna sign you up for this dating site. I'm good. I can be your wingman. All these things that were supposed to happen. We were supposed to be outside this summer because I'm walking more. And then I'm like, but he's in the bed, like he's in the hospital. Like this ain't right. We talked a lot about the future. I remember him one day sending me a text message or sending me a screenshot of a job I think that he applied to. He was like, you want to go move to Bend, Oregon? And I texted him back. I said, how many Negroes is in Bend, Oregon? He said, I already looked. He said, it's 133,000 people total in the city, and there are 333 Black people. I said, oh, that's not enough. I said, no, I don't know about that. I'm a little confused and concerned. And he was like, listen, the salary real good. The salary was $250,000. He said, listen, I'm going to go to Bend, Oregon for $250,000. He said, I will be the Black person number 334. I said, well, you do that. And I'm going to be right here on Crenshaw and Slauson with the Black and brown people. He said, no, you're going to be number 335. I said, is Carlos coming? Like we had this whole, he's like, yes, this whole conversation. And so just that feeling of this man sees me in his future. He sees Carlos in his future, and he literally wants to take me. And I'm like, I don't think Andrea would be too happy with that. But, you know, it was just a really cute and funny, like him just thinking about the future. That is not here anymore. It's not going to happen. He has finished his bachelor's degree quick. He graduated with his master's degree. You've probably seen some of the photos. I put up this cap and gown. He was starting his doctoral program. Like, he was so focused and had so much like drive and ambition. And so it feels so unfair. Like, what the hell? Like, for real, what the hell? This is not supposed to be the reality of what's happening. And I think that's really what is bothering to me the most. That no. If anybody was supposed to go anywhere, it wasn't him. He was supposed to still be here to do the things that he wanted to do. And it kind of goes back to this thing that I've talked about a lot. Black men deserve to grow old. When Nipsey Hussle died, I said I would have loved to see a 55-year-old Nipsey Hussle. When the guy at my job had that heart attack, what, you know, it's so unfair. And I think that's the other part of it too that sort of hit me in my spirit. It can be really frustrating not having the answers, but for me, again, my nature is to try to find meaning in things. It's been 1,000% frustrating for me. I've been thinking a lot, crying a lot. I remember this past Monday was really hard. I'm in bed and I'm just thinking and crying. Like, what is this? Why is this? How? But ultimately, the gratefulness for the relationship, for the interaction, for the paths crossing is sort of what I'm left with. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the show with the imprint. Well, no, actually not yet. What he leaves me with. This is what I'm going to talk about next. He definitely left me with a feeling of, wow, this is what it feels like to be prioritized and cared for. And like I said earlier, it hit me. I was talking to one of my homegirls. I said, oh, wait, I haven't had this level of care and concern from any man in any friendship or romantic relationship. And he definitely has reset the baseline. So if the baseline was here for me, as far as male relationships and care and consideration, it is here. So I will not accept less because I've been shown more, right? The lesson in showing up for other people. And I don't think I was bad at that. There's always room for improvement, but he showed me how important it is to show up for people. And I've already used his lessons on someone else already. I was at work and I overheard a coworker say, dang, I'm about to cancel my medical appointment. I don't have a ride. And they told me I can't drive myself. I need, somebody needs to take me and I have to cancel it because my person that they can't take me no more. I literally turned around and I said, I'll do it. And I took him to the doctor, and as I was driving him there, I said, the reason why I'm doing this is because someone did it for me. And that's just that. And so for me, it's like, not really why is he gone, but why did he come into my life when he did? And I feel like ChatGPT helped me to see that it's like sometimes relationships function as concentrated lessons. In less than 2 years, he showed me what reliable, invested friendship can look like. And that can last longer than the friendship itself. And like I said, he just reset my baseline for what relationships are from here to here. And I think I'll also say this. If someone who didn't want anything from me can treat me that well, come on now. Expectations are totally reset moving forward because he didn't want anything from me. He wasn't trying to holler or anything, right? He just wanted to be my friend. And again, the friendship was mutual and was natural. So he showed me that, and I'm grateful for that. All right, now we're going to try to close. And for the closing, we got to take the camera off of me because it ain't going. We're not going to make it if you're looking at me. So let me get myself together. I'm proud of myself. I actually did really well. Better than I thought I would. Woo! Okay. So I'm going to speak to John directly. When he was in the hospital, Carlos told me he can hear you. Even though he's not awake, he can hear you. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all, the last time I saw John, they had were able to wake him up. So he was alert. He could not speak, but I'm so grateful that when I walked in that room, I could tell that he saw me and I could tell that he recognized me and he started to cry. And I don't know for sure, and I probably will never know. I think he was crying because he had not realized or did not know if I had figured out where he was. So, like I told you, I couldn't really see him, or I had lost contact with him. I'll just put it that way. And I was trying to figure out where he was. And so by the time he was unconscious, I guess is the simplest way to state it, he had not made contact with me. And so him being alert, I wondered if he was like, dang, I was scared that I would never see Nicole again. And here I come walking in. My brother was with me. Shout out to my brother, who a couple of times actually drove me to the hospital to see John. And so in that moment, he was alert and he saw me. And I could tell he knew who I was. He was trying to speak because his mouth was moving, but of course I couldn't hear him because he couldn't speak. But I could tell that he knew who I was there, and he started crying. And I'm like, "Don't cry, John. Don't cry." I said, "I wasn't going. I was coming for you. I was going to come find you." And I, touched him and was, wiping his tears away and stuff. And so I was just really grateful for that. I had no idea that was the last time I would see him. I thought, oh, good, he's up. We're going to work through this together. He helped me. I'm going to help him. It's going to be okay. That was the last time I saw him alive, and conscious. And I just, but let me speak to John. Let's go. Okay, producer, go back to, yes. Friend, listen. If you didn't want me to go with you to the gym that day, you could have just said that. You didn't, all of this dramatics and theatrics, I don't understand why. You could have just said you didn't want to go, and I would have been fine with that. Okay. But all jokes aside, I used to tell my friends that you were like Santa Claus. And I said that before, that you were like Santa Claus to me. I talked about you to them all the time, but they never saw you. Like they never saw you, never really talked to you or anything. But I guess after all, you've always been my angel. I just didn't know it. And I was telling Carlos this the other day. I know each person in this world, we experience a person differently. So the way I experienced John is different from the way Carlos did, or different from the way his brother did, or his parents, right? There's one person, but we have different engagements with them. And so for me, it really feels like this, and I'm going to try my best to explain it. It's almost like, John, you dropped out of the sky and was like, hi, you seem cool. Let's be friends. And I was like, okay. And then you said, uh-oh, you hurt yourself. Don't worry, I got you. And then you said, you're good now. You're walking. You got your little walker. You're driving. You're okay. I can go now. That literally is how I feel our relationship was. Like you were literally dropped out of the sky to be there for me. And then when your work was done, you went home, whatever you believe home is. I do believe in my heart you are home with your parents. You are safe. Hopefully you're happy. And I hope you can see me in this house walking around without this cane. That part just makes me so sad because I wanted to be able to walk with you. You talked about us going dancing. I wanted to be able to do all those things with you. I promise you that I will carry your love and friendship forward. And I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your help. Thank you for everything. You brought Carlos to me. I didn't know Carlos. Carlos is great. Thank God Carlos is a doctor. He was able to take care of you all the way to the end. Got to give him shout out for that. And just thank you for being a presence in my life. I didn't know I needed you until you showed up. And so, yeah, I think that's all I got. I don't know what else to say. But I will never forget you. Um, everybody loves you. The doctor's office was asking, even before, like, when I started getting other ways to get to the doctor, they like, where's your friend? I was like, oh, he's busy. I have to tell Dr. Charlton you're gone, and I don't know how that's gonna go. But folks was really impacted by your presence, and everything. So I just want to thank you. Again, you were great. I also want to thank my daughter who's had to listen to me just ruminate over this whole ordeal. I want to thank my brother who, again, he was like, oh, I'm not busy. Where you going after this? Oh, you're going to the hospital to see John? I'll drive you. Couple times he's done that. He's been really, like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. My other friends, Josie, Krishanda, my friend Jamila, who's a nurse who I've talked to ad nauseum about all of this. So all of you have been very supportive. So I really appreciate all of you in that. Again, really, really thankful to Carlos, because when I would go visit John, Carlos was there. He was there. And he was able to use his skills as a physician to kind of help me understand what was happening. But then, of course, also he loved John. And so he was there to offer that support when no one else could. I couldn't be there every day. And Carlos was there every day. So grateful to have him now as part of the friendship family. I got to meet John's younger brother. And I'm like, I can see it. I see it. I see the connection and the way they talk, very similar. So that was really cool. I was even able to help a little bit with some of the details around, the final things that need to happen because of my connections at the county. Was able to call some people. They try to get some help. So in any way, I wanted to be helpful to him, to John, and to anybody else that loved him. So I'm just going to end now. I'm not going to even do my website. This is such a personal and intimate moment. I think, honestly, producer, if we could just have a minute of silence, and y'all, I will see y'all next week. And we could just go black for maybe 30 seconds, and then we would just end the episode. Thank you all so much. Oh, last thing I'll say, for real, honestly, love on your friends. Tell your friends you love them. So at the end of the day, you thought, oh, does he know how much I care about him? He would always be like, love you. And I'd be like, love you too. So there was none of that. No confusion around that. And so I'm grateful for that as well. But love on your friends. Talk to your friends. Pray for your friends. Wish them the best. Check on them. All that. Because 1 minute your friends can be fine. The last time I saw him, we went to go see the movie Sinners. He was fine. And the next minute, right? So check on your people and keep them close to your heart. And with that, let's go ahead and maybe a 30-second fade to black. And then we just close it out, Mr. Producer. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.